All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week in Base Hit. And as you can see, I'm decked out in my Texas state hometown, San Marcos, Texas, because we're bowl bound. The bowl game, I know this is probably going to come out a couple days after, but the bowl game is today at 3 versus North Texas. So we're in Bobcat country. We're rooting for the Bobcats. Sloan.
I have to admit that I did not know that this bowl game was happening, but I have, since Alabama's done, I had checked out. It's weird timing. On the third, they're playing on the third.
I mean, this is a game that you would expect to be on December 26th or something, but no, it's today. Because they got to pepper in, they had to pepper in some bowls now that we got this like four
Yeah,
week bowl
yeah.
series.
It goes on forever, but all right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
tonight, and I would like to point out, I lived in Austin until 2022, and Texas State had a losing record for like 10 years. They were like 2-10. I mean, they were bad. The 2 years after I moved here, they've been in bowl games both years, winning records. Texas State.
This is the kind of stuff we talk about. This was my transition. This is the kind of stuff we talk about during MLB off season
Yep.
when we're trying to
This and free agency.
we're trying to program, yeah, what's going on in the that was the theme I wanted to bring up today is our off season and also MLB off season. We're paying
Yep.
attention to full games.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing that like real baseball fans that go real deep. I don't mean real baseball fans. I mean like
Yeah, yeah.
baseball fans that go real deep. They find all sorts of interesting things in the off season to deal with, and it's kind of like that in
What do you mean?
base
I
hit
mean,
as
there's
well.
the
Like for
hot stove.
for baseball casual baseball fans will pay passing attention to hot stove and free agency signings.
Yep,
People like me
yep.
will go deep into the international draft, the international signings, the minor league promotions, the Rule 5 draft. Like there's a ton of stuff coming out of the winter meetings for like true baseball geeks to get like really dive into. And so that's what I spend my time doing is going deep into baseball in that way.
When is the Rule 5 draft?
It
Talk to us
happened.
about the Rule 5 draft for a second. What?
It already happened.
When was it?
So whenever the winter meetings were earlier in December
And explain about.
about the
Obviously, I
rule.
know exactly how the Rule 5 draft works, but you should explain now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it actually gets complicated enough that I can't explain it all the way because there's a bunch of ways that you can that makes people eligible because uh, well, first, this is a little tangential, but players in the minor leagues, you can call them up only so many times before you have to make a decision whether or not you're going to keep them on your roster. And there's these people that are like at this level that you need to protect, which that gets a little beyond my knowledge. But
You
if
need to protect
but if you
from being picked up by other guys.
by other guys, but you have to make a commitment to them. And
Yeah.
so the Rule 5 draft is for all these people that are unprotected. But if another team takes them, they're also committing to keeping them on their 40-man roster all year. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky too. 40-man roster doesn't necessarily mean they're in the majors the whole year because you don't have a 40-man roster all
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
So you have like these quad A guys that can live in triple A, but you've committed to essentially paying them like they were
How's
paying
the
it.
Rule 5 draft order set? Is it the same as the other draft order?
That's a good question. I am not sure because I there is some rotation based on who's actually making draft picks and who isn't. You know, like I think you escalate if you don't make a pick to the next year, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I was asking because I know we've had leagues that have done their own Rule 5 drafts in base hit. So I was curious about, and it's a good idea.
Lawn chair does like Pimp runs it in lawn chair And it's the preseason free agent draft, but it essentially functions like a Rule 5 draft where you can either prepare your list or you can pass. And it's not based on your record or anything else, but if you pass, then you move up past anybody that got a player that year into the next year.
So it's like a running waiver order that you guys keep.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. Yep.
Um,
And it also benefits the most active teams, right? Because you're either getting a player every year or you're moving up on the list, and a lot of the people above you just aren't drafting anything because they're not paying attention. And so
how are you?
it's a good way to benefit the people that are most active in the league.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. So just generally talking about the off season because it's a dead period for
I mean,
it's a nice relaxing break, but it's a dead period in leagues and
not just off season, but for non-playoff teams, as soon as the playoffs start, it becomes a dead the off
no,
season, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're a non-playoff team, it's hard to keep checked in. We do so there's things that have been done over time. There's more we could do, but so right now awards start to kick in. I've always thought it'd be cool to have, you know, built-in award voting that people could do if they want. But we spread it out so that the awards are announced throughout the playoffs. They give you something to check in on. Uh, we made the change a couple years ago for league to do contracts in the off season, which one to give people something to do in the off season, but also it kind of made sense because a typical we don't have a dead period in base hit, right? It goes from one season to the next at the flip.
Contracts are
Um,
great.
but the idea
That
that
was a
you
good
have the
ad.
entire playoffs to make a decision on who you're going to keep and who you're not, which if you're not in a hard cap league, it's probably not as big a deal, but in hard cap league, it's a big deal.
It's a very
Um,
big deal because any of us who have missed it and got the auto cuts happened will never forgive ourselves.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have people that are unhappy with the timing, and we talk about whether we would do those cuts at a different time, but I don't know. Part of the whole idea is that you come through the off season and then you go into a free agency period and everybody's there instead of waiting until later to figure out who the actual free agents are.
Can I tell you
Um,
the one thing that I'm a little psychotic about? And like this makes me a true crazy person. But if I'm in the playoffs all the way through to the World Series, I refuse to do my contracts because I feel like some of the
Morale.
players that I know are going to get cut. I can't let them know
I
before they
would,
play in the World Series. It's like karma is going to make them
yeah,
play. Yeah,
I think that's
it's
pretty fun.
yeah.
No, I
But that
understand
becomes
that.
dangerous, right? Because you're on a nice edge. Because if you're in the World Series, then you have to get those done in like four sims.
Yeah, and I've learned that anytime I think I'll do it later, I'm probably going to forget to do it later, so then I just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
But I do understand now it was happening in leagues when people start talking trades. Like I would prefer. I mean, you can't really stop people, but it's like don't start talking until after the season is done. But you can't really stop people. But yeah, that's what I think too. The
Yeah.
morale of your team, they're still playing, and you're talking about how you're going to trade them away.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I go a little too deep with team morale. I name a team captain every year.
yeah,
I shouldn't even be telling people this.
it's a good idea. It's a good
Yep.
idea. Put a little C next to their name.
Uh, but
Players develop at the flip. I mean, the traditional stuff. So the contracts, if people haven't played in hard cap leagues, you make a decision on each player on whether you're going to keep them or release them. And then everything gets processed at the flip and you come through the flip and you have your whole your new free agency batch to look at.
Well, I think
Um,
that was like the idea behind the hard cap league, right? Is like it should give you something to do in the off season. I think it kind of cuts both ways though. Like you get cap restricted for a lot of teams, so they can't make free agency moves. But at the same time, the free agency pool is much richer. So in theory, and in most cases, then all of a sudden you can make conditional drops and try to improve your team through that. That didn't really exist before hard cap because soft cap, everybody would just consolidate talent. So I think that has added a lot to the offseason.
Yeah. Or you'd hold guys until the end of the people were at least used to the idea of holding guys until the end of the preseason and then cutting them. And then you have this weird thing where free agency would actually start when the season started, um, which was kind of weird.
Yeah.
We have binding contracts. There are I'm not. I don't know. I am in the league with binding contracts, but the idea of binding contracts to that you have to make your tough choices too. That anybody that you carry over at the flip has to stay with your team for the season. So you have to make a choice early on how much space you want to make. I do think. I mean, I think that's a higher difficulty level. I think
It
that
is a
there's
higher
critical
difficulty
stuff in
level.
there.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've noticed a lot of leagues have shied away from that. I think maybe it's because of recruitment, but like that's like boss level. Like you should be there should be the most active leagues should probably have binding contracts because that's where uh the real if you're really into it, that's where the most competitive players should be.
And it always the we talk about it, but where you set your cap level, if you want there to be free agency, uh, where the cap level is. Like we're
Yeah.
going through it. I talk about
That's
Blab a bunch, but
I mean, it's not off-season related, but that's why I do like what TCL does um, after the draft is raise the cap level to 75 so that you can compete again on free agents and try to bolster your team for a playoff run. I think that's a good way to offset that problem. I know it's not off-season related, but
well, and then they shrink it. Well, then they shrink it back down, so it's the same thing. If at the
yes.
flip, you're going to have a bunch of guys go back to free agency, so there's going to be a new batch.
Yep.
I think it's good. Um, develop. We've talked about needing to have a development report after the flip, but you have all your players going back and checking all your players to see how they've changed in the off
We
season.
have to do that. I I hate going through every player individually. I would love to see that all just encapsulated in one like news headline of
Uh,
what happened to all your players.
yeah, I mean, generally, I mean, you could see it. You got to look player by player though, but we did change it so that the money, you know, how much money they're going to make before
Yeah.
the it used to be that it was later, but so you do at least know. But that was required. That's required to have a hard cap that you
Yeah.
can't.
It tips the hand a little bit, but I think that's probably good. Like the symptom of that is good. Um,
We
but we're
mean tip
also,
the hand.
well, I mean, if you're going to get a guy that's likely going to drop
Yeah, yeah.
attribute wise, like because like you're when you hit 30 or 31, you could drop, you could stay the same. You might even pop a couple points with
There's still
things like
some. Yeah.
discipline or finesse but you just don't know. But if you see a 15% salary drop, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think that's right. I think that's a delay. There's a delay on performance and overall. Yeah, yeah. Never
Yeah.
mind. Never mind.
Maybe.
Trades. I mean, that's when people talk about wanting to do different timing too. That's the idea that they want more time. They want, if they worry about a hard cap, to be able to make the trades in the preseason, um, which again, it's hard to figure out how to do that and not have it just be then your free agency happens during the regular season. Uh,
Yeah.
you would hope that it would be trading before the trade deadline, which in MLB, what percent? I don't even know the answer to that, but actual trades as opposed to free agency. When do most of the trades happen
Right
throughout the
before
year?
the deadline.
Before the deadline instead
Yeah.
of
There's
free
off
agency.
season there. I mean, there's a bunch of off season trades, but the consequential trades all happen right before the deadline.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of player movement that happens in the off season, in the winter meetings, stuff like that. But it's pretty rare for a big trade to happen. Like you saw, like Devin Williams go to the Yankees. Like a lot of people were talking about that, but those type of trades typically happen right at the trade deadline.
Yeah. And how often is that? Yeah. Because guys are going to be going to free agency and trying to get something before.
That's right. Yeah, they get the most out of them during the season. Yeah, but
Uh,
yeah. I
We
was
also
gonna,
have preseason free agents that happen off season, which a
and
lot of people
that
use. I mean,
I don't think
that's
people realize like in their league, you can have a wide variety of how many preseason free agents. I don't see people using that option as much as I thought they were going to. So
really.
ask your commissioners about that. I mean, there's a lot of preseason free agents, but like you could have 50 of them if you wanted to. Uh,
Yeah, well, you have the problem that when you do that, you start to inflate the. There are some leagues that I think we put it up to 100 at some point, and there's some leagues that do it, but you also that has an impact because
oh,
it's
totally.
exciting, but it's exciting, but great inflation and the draft. So draft picks become less valuable because less of those guys are going to make starting lineups when you've got 100 new guys coming in every year. And then we always will see people that'll respond on Discord, like, why is this guy sucking? And then you check and you see that the averages in that league are
It
insane. And it's
diluted the
oftentimes
whole
because of
thing.
the
But
preseason free.
is there still not a league that doesn't make their preseason free agent number variable, almost like a wheel draft? I'm surprised nobody's
What do
done
you,
that yet. Where like
how would
one
you do
year
that if
you
you're
have zero preseason free agents, the next year you have 20,
oh,
next next year you have five. You
just
know,
for fun or whatever? Yeah, that's
I
not a
don't
bad
know, just for goofs. I don't know.
idea. Just for random, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I guess when they added that, they talked about it being international free agent,
yeah.
which is an important. We're all waiting to hear on Roki. Uh,
No, there's six teams waiting to hear on Roki. The rest of us don't give a shit.
oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's only six teams he
Prediction?
could possibly go to.
Why? Everybody, the way that they
Don't
have it
even.
set up,
Don't even.
I didn't want to. What's his? Give me his name. Give me his
Roki
full name.
Sasaki.
Roki Sasaki. So, but the rules, everybody's limited in how much money that they can give him for
Yeah,
now.
that's true.
So
But
then
how do
why
you
would
think
he?
so why do you think that matters to him? How's he going to make his money then? He's going to
Yeah,
make his money through brand deals, endorsements in the biggest TV markets. So he's going to go to one of the two New York teams or four California teams that have Japanese TV rights. It's not, there's only so many.
we'll
He
see.
can
We'll
only
see.
go to the Yankees, the Mets, the Padres, the Giants, the Angels, or the Dodgers. That's it. And some people say Seattle, but that's not going to happen. There's no chance.
At the beginning of the offseason, everybody was saying Dodgers, and then since then, it feels like that's trailed off. So we'll see.
Yeah.
That's
Did you hear what he
I know
said?
that's what they want. No,
Oh yeah, like
which part?
he showed up to a meeting and the Padres wanted to have Yu Darvish in the meeting and
Oh,
he's
he
like,
said he
nah,
didn't care
nah,
about.
nah, get out of here, get him out of here. Like, oh, hey, you come to LA, we'll have Shohei. No, get him out of here.
Yeah, and why did he say
I,
that?
he does. I don't think he wants to be influenced by that. I think he just wants to have a meeting with the team and he doesn't want them to like put a bunch of frosting on the cupcake. Like,
Yeah,
get
it's
him out of
interesting.
here.
So do you have? So then let's get it on here. What's your prediction for what's going to happen with him? And also, let's before you're talking about the money, he also, if he had waited, I guess it's not gonna. I don't know how much money he would make in Japan for the next couple of years. If he waited 2 years or whatever, he could get the huge contract, right? So,
Yeah. He could get
is
more.
it a
It's
money
going to work out for
decision?
him just fine anyway, though,
Okay,
because like I think he's going to make less from baseball, but he's going to make more from endorsements because he's going to be even a bigger star in Japan by doing what he's doing. So,
it's
I
not gonna. Is it delay when he can get that first big contract in
yes,
MLB? Oh, it does. Okay.
yeah, yeah. I think. Well, no, I think it lessens what he can get because um,
It
he
lessens
would.
what you get him initially, but
Well, yeah, for sure. But I think it lessens what he gets with that first big contract as well.
uh, okay.
I think. I think.
All
Um,
right. So what's your
but
prediction?
I think it's going to be either the Padres or the Giants. If I had to put my money on it,
Oh,
though, I'd say the Padres probably get him.
that's terrible.
Oh yeah,
Why is
because
that?
the
Why is
Dodgers
that?
just need some talent. They just got to get
Why
some.
why would he go to the Padres? Why would anybody go to the Padres?
I think he I just based on how he's acted so far, I think he wants to stand alone. Like he doesn't want to be the fourth pitcher of, so and but that said, like the
And the
Giants,
Padres don't have anybody good, so that's why he would go
I
there.
mean, he would be the best pitcher on the Padres,
Yeah.
whereas like that probably isn't going to happen with the Dodgers, at least initially. He is going to be eventually the best pitcher on planet Earth. Like
Yeah, that
he's that good. If you
yeah.
look at the rise on his fastball, the movement, like his arm angle on his curveball and fastball are identical, and the ball is like 18 inches apart when it hits the catcher. He's shockingly good. He's young.
All right. So now I'm gonna root. If it's not gonna be the Dodgers, I'll root for him to go to one of those damn Yankees.
Padres or Giants is
He
what
can go
I'm
to the
thinking.
Yankees to be fine.
I don't think
Uh,
he's gonna go to the East Coast because he loves Japan. Like I mean, he truly deeply loves Japan. Not only would he be closer, but he'd be in a Japanese TV market. And he'd be playing the Dodgers. Like, yeah, I
let's
think,
send him to Seattle. We can have Seattle if he wants to go to
yeah,
Seattle.
yeah. So that's my guess. But
Uh,
so
I,
I'm on record saying probably the Padres, otherwise the Giants.
I think that
You
you're
know,
probably correct. That's where I'll go on the record.
yeah.
I'm sure we've gone 15 minutes by now, even just talking about that.
Yeah,
That's your
yeah.
biggest preseason free agent news for your league is where Roki's gonna.
In
Anyway,
the wait, what? Yeah, are you talking base hit or MLB?
yeah. Now
Oh, you're just
I'm just being dumb.
oh.
I don't have a good finish like you're good at rolling off
Yeah.
these.
Well, so all right. So yeah, so uh we can wrap it up there. I was trying to think who the next free agent was to drop or the next one to sign. It might even be him. But I think
So he's after the 15th. I know that people have been waiting on him.
yeah, well, yeah, and the pitching market went from being like insane to being completely dead. And but I think if I had to guess, the next person to sign is going to be Pete Alonso re-signing with the Mets. I think that's what's going to happen next. I don't think anybody else is offering. He wants 5 years, and nobody's willing to give him that much time. He's 30-year-old first baseman. That is the start of the decline. So I don't. I think the Mets give him. I think the Mets probably give him 4 years. Four
Okay.
years, 180 million. Let's go with
Your
that.
Soto predictions are pretty good, except the money.
Yeah, I
You're
think I'm probably low
off
with the
on the
money on
money.
this one too.
Okay.
But we'll see. All
We'll
right.
find out soon enough.
All right. We're gonna cut it there. Uh, I want you all to, even though this has probably already happened, root for Texas State. We're deep in the heart of Texas here in San Marcos, the Texas Hill Country, and Texas State bowl game against North Texas, which is like Dallas. Nobody want. Have you ever been to DFW? It's terrible. Worst airport in the world. So root for Texas State. Till next time, we're out of here.